As it continues in verses 13, it says, so the certain of the people were so forward therein that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinances of the heathen, whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem according to the customs of the heathen. And this place of exercise, if you go into a history in Jewish Encyclopedia, it shows you, or JewishHistory.org.net. So according to what it said, according to what the encyclopedia says, that they practice of homosexuality in these very gyms. They call them gymnasiums, where they Jakes would have resewn their foreskins and go into these. Yes, resewn their foreskins. You heard it correct. And also reverse circumcision, if you understand where I'm coming from. And they would have gone to these gym places of exercise naked as they're born, to practice these wicked acts that is not of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, that he condemns. As it continues, they willingly partaken of the customs fully. Verse 15 says, and made themselves uncircumcised, like I said, and forsook the holy covenant, and joined themselves to the heathen, and were sold to do mischief. So this is what severed us from Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. This is what made us heathen. This is what made us Gentiles. Because we disobeyed the ways of the Father, only to take up the customs and the ways of the heathen, of the Gentile nations. As they go forward, what did the king decree? When he realized that they were so agreeable in it, he made it mandatory. So now we had to what? Forget our ways, forget our customs, forget our ordinances and practices and laws, to keep the customs of these heathens, and for those who did not keep it would be unalived. So guess what? We are forced now. Many of our people who wasn't in agreement state were forced to keep it, or else we would have been unalived. So for example, so you as a grandpappy would have been forced to do so unless you had to be unalive, and you took the mantle not to be unalive, and you had to teach your children the ways of the Greekish customs, and your children going to teach their children the ways of the Greekish customs into generations after generations. Do you think that your great-great-great-grandchildren would know anything about their heritage and ways? No, because that history would have not been passed down to prevent them from being unalive. And this is what Israel did. It's as simple as you can get it. But common sense does not prevail all the time. Let's go into the precept. 1 Maccabees chapter 1 and verses 41 says, moreover, King Antiochus or Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people. So you see, it says, and everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandments of the king. It says, yea, many also of the Israelites, many, not half, many, consented to his religion and sacrificed unto idols and profaned the Shabbat. So what did he do? What did he do? Consented to his religion and sacrificed unto idols and profaned the Shabbat, the holy day. For the king had sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judea, that they should follow the strange laws of the land, and forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple, and that they should profane the Sabbath day, and Sabbaths and festival days. So that's important, right? And they should profane the Sabbath and festival days. So they're forced to do what? Do wickedness. In other words, instead of sacrificing the actual flesh, the actual lamb, they would have to sacrifice something else on the altars. Matter of fact, they will build something different from the altars and break down the altars according to the history in the JewishHistory.org. Let's continue. It says, and pollute the sanctuary and holy people, like I said. Set up altars, you see, and groves and chapels of idols, and sacrifice swine's flesh. Again, like I said, and unclean beasts, that they should also leave their children uncircumcised and make their souls abominable with all manner of uncleanness and profanation. So you see, so that even their children, like I said, they would have teach their children the wrong and wicked ways, and they would have practiced these wicked acts in these nations, going against the very will of the Heavenly Father, which makes them heathen or Gentile, to the end that they might forget the law and change all the ordinances. And whosoever would not do according to the commandment of the king, he said he should die. So for those who are disagreeing on that law that was passed, they would be unalived. So let's jump into another precept to show, because we already see what would happen for those who were disobedient unto the king. He would have unalived them. So we understand that point. Matter of fact, let me keep reading. Let's go to 52. It says, in the self-same manner wrote he to his whole kingdom, and appoint overseers over all the people, commanding the city of Judea to sacrifice this city by city. Then many of the people were gathered unto them, to wit every one that forsook the law, and so they committed evils in the land. So they defile themselves with these wickedness. So now we could drop down to 2nd Maccabees to show, yet again, verbatim. This is not a joke. This is verbatim precept showing that the Jakes became Gentiles or became Greeks. This is 2nd Maccabees chapter 6 and verses 6. And we can jump down to verses 9. Let's get straight to the point. It says, for the temples was filled with riots and reveling by the Gentiles, who dealt with harlots and had to do with women, within the circuits of the holy places, and besides that brought in things that were not lawful. The altar also was filled with profane things which the law forbiddeth. Now we get into the point. Neither was it lawful for a man to keep the Shabbat days and ancient fasts, or to profess himself to be a Jew. So if you are in the Greek nation and you are unable to profess or claim or call yourself or practice the ways of the Jews, what would you then call yourself? Not a Greek? Because you are in the Greek nation, you are Grecian, and you gain citizenships by the king, which was forced to those who did not consent. What would you then call yourself? If you want to remain alive, I'm a Greek. I'm a Grecian. As simple, again, common sense. It does not prevail in Christianity. Yet people still gravitate towards their foolishness. This is why they remain with the title Slave Plantation Christianity. It will never change. That's their title, and it's not going to change, because they have not adopted the true ways of the Father. It's still calling Jesus Christ. The word J, the letter J, was not created or invented before Yahushua was born. Only after, 2,000 years after, matter of fact. In 1524, it was established. And it was more so properly well introduced after being established in the 16s to the 1800s. So how could his name be Jesus when the letters was not even, and the sound of the letters wasn't even created yet? Come on. We need to make things make sense. So we know who is false, because as far as I understand, I have not put my own words into this. I have not uttered a lie. I'm reading from the scriptures itself. Let's jump down to verses 9. Let's get that out of the way. That Greek and a Gentile behavior, let's get it out of the way. Straight to the point. I'm just going to jump down. It says, moreover, there went out of the decree to the neighbor cities of the heathen by the suggestion of Ptolemy, which is another general that had control over Egypt and that region. It says, against the Jews, that they should observe the same fashions and be partakers of their sacrifices. So they were forcing them to ensure that they never keep the ways of the Father. Because if we come back to the Father according to the scriptures, according to the law, then He's going to what? Save us. He's going to bless us. He's going to prosper us. He's going to save us according to the law. Precept immediately, just to make sure that you all know what I'm saying. Deuteronomy verses 4 and verses 27 and verses 7, it says, and Yahweh shall scatter you among the nations, and ye shall be left few in numbers among the heathens, whither Yahweh shall leave you, and there ye shall serve other gods, the work of men's hand, wood and stone, which neither see, nor hear, nor eat, nor smell. But if from thence thou shalt seek Yahweh thy power, thou shalt find him, and if thou seek him with all thine heart and with all thy soul, when thou art in tribulation, and all these things are come upon thee, even in the latter days, if thou turn to Yahweh thy power, and shalt be obedient unto his voice, for Yahweh thy power is a merciful power, and he will not forsake thee, neither destroy thee, neither forget the covenant of thy fathers. You hear it yourself. He's not going to forsake you. He is not going to forget the covenant, which is for us to be saved. Us to go back into our great estate above all nations. Which is what? Blessings. Go in this one. You this one, right? So, again, according to the scriptures, for those who go back to power, is going to be blessed. So they are preventing us from going back to our Heavenly Father. And if we refuse, they are going to unalive us. It's simple. Slow down. Stay on pt2.